What is up, everybody? It's Supercard Copter with a very special video. A lot of questions that I've been getting asked is my deck good enough? Is there any tips you can give us for RTG? I hit a wall, what can I do? Stuff like that. And I've never thought I had been one to give that advice yet, but now I'm pretty sure I kind of have some tips and tricks that I know help me, and I think that they can help other people. So if you're looking for that, then great. This episode is definitely for you. If not, then all you have to do is just hit that like button, and yeah, then I mean, you're good. If you leave now, I will be completely fine with it. That's okay. But if you need some grinding stuff, if you need some tricks and stuff like that, just sit back and let's get in depth with it. So, granted, you got to remember I am in a WrestleMania tier. So, with that being said, my deck is going to be a WrestleMania deck. Now, some of these tips and stuff because I don't have a lower deck like some of y'all do, I can't guarantee the results, but the tips and tricks that I'm going to tell you should work throughout everything. Now, if you have a ultra rare deck, I'm not saying that these tips and tricks are going to get you the Triple H Pro, because in reality, you technically shouldn't be able to get the Triple H Pro. But again, there's different ways of doing it, but the core strategy, excuse me, that I use is going to be something like this. So, let's go into the RTG, and right now I'm also going to get the last Triple H on camera. Okay, so one thing that people ask is my deck good enough? Yada yada yada. These tricks or these tips are going to be for the general purpose of RTG, but at the same time, how I'm going to be talking with it is going to be based on the WrestleMania deck. Same concept, just different tier. But again, these tricks will work for any type of tier. Okay, so one main thing that you want to have if you want to get through RTG without having many problems at all, and I'm talking about all the way to like the Triple H, first thing you're going to need is a full, at least, Survivor Pro deck. Now, I mean fully trained Survivor Pro deck. It doesn't matter which survivors you have, just as long as they're pros. Most people have all the RTGs, which those will come into play, but you also have to remember that you will pretty much see every RTG that's out there. So you either have to have like a Survivor Fusion to where you can beat them, or have the other RTGs that can beat them, because that's going to really help you in the long run. Also, a good thing to have is a Pro Divas, like all Pro Divas. And if not, with the Divas, you're going to want the same arrow if you can. Try to get the same arrow. Let's say you have Nikki and AJ and Nikki, and you do have a compatible arrow, but it's not pro'd, and let's say you have a Tamika, and she's pro'd, go ahead and throw her in there. Yeah, she's a yellow arrow, but at least you have all pros. But the best way to do it is have all the same compatibility is going to be key. That's what you really want to focus on when it comes to facing your opponents, the way you face your opponents, and then just kind of having more, it all goes back to having that balanced deck. Now, of course, with me, I just have here and there arrows. I mean, it's really not like a all blue left, all blue right type thing. Of course not. but at the same time, the way I play, which you'll see, I do focus on compatibility. Now, with supports are going to be your best friend. By all means, go with supports. And the best way to really look at supports is making sure you get an overall deck boost. Try to get an overall deck boost. So, for instance, let's say you only have a Lana, and you have uh, a Paul Heyman. Say you have a Lana, Paul Heyman, and a Bobby Heenan. Of course, go with the more powerful card. So let's say you have 3 legendaries. One's a Lana, one's a Bobby Heenan, and one's a Paul Heyman, or not Paul Heyman, Paul Bearer. Okay, so Paul Bearer gives you, yes, it gives you more toughness. But you got to remember that's only one stat. Now, yes, that's good that you're getting more to it, but you want an overall boost. So I would look at my deck, see what it lacks. So if you look at my deck right now, these are all charisma heavy people. Okay? We don't start getting into like lower charismas until down here. But Triple H, his best stat is his charisma. Daniel Bryan, his best stat is charisma. Chris Jericho, his best stat is charisma. Bray Wyatt's got good charisma. You want a peanut? Andre the Giant, he's got good charisma. Sting, Crow Sting, really good charisma. Rock, beast charisma. And then of course like the RT or the PCC and RTGs, those are always just going to be good. And then like my Survivor Fusion, we got Cena, good on charisma. So I don't have to focus on a charisma stat. As far as toughness goes, I mean, some of these, they're decent toughness. It's nothing like a Seth Rollins where it's like 26 or Rob is a 27, because Rob's more focused on speed and charisma, while Seth is just focused on speed. Seth's card sucks, but it's still, once you start throwing in the boost, it's decent. So, I mean, it's one of those, like, you got to see what you're lacking in. For instance, let's say you had a deck full of Rey Mysterios. Obviously, that's a speed-heavy deck, right? So the last thing you're going to want is to throw in a speed boost, unless that's all you have, then okay. But you would rather focus on having either a power boost, tough boost, or charisma boost, because you already have the speed there. So I'm just saying, whenever it comes to picking, just kind of know your deck. Try and balance it out as much as possible. So for me, let's say I had a tough heavy deck. Well, when it comes to picking my supports out of that Lana, Bobby Heenan, or Paul Bearer, I'm not going to use Paul Bearer. Yeah, it gives you a lot more toughness, but if you use Bobby Heenan, that's giving you toughness and speed. Yes, it's a little bit lower, but you're still getting toughness and speed. And then if you throw Lana, you're getting power. So therefore, you're knocking out 3 as far as boosting up their stats. The best combination, in my opinion, is a Bobby Heenan with a Paul Heyman, because that you're boosting all stats. It may not be as much as if someone just had a Lana, but you're still boosting all stats. So whenever you come across someone and you're in battle, if it's asking for power and speed, yeah, Lana gave you plus this amount, but because you used a Paul Heyman and a Bobby Heenan, now not only do you have power, but you also have speed. So if we were to do, for instance, the WrestleMania, I think WrestleMania Lana gives you plus 62, and Paul Heyman, I think, gives you plus 42 on each. I may need to fact check that. Okay, well, if it's asking for power and speed, that person's only going to get a plus 62 boost. You, on the other hand, is going to get not only a 40 for speed, but you're going to get a 42 because you used the Paul Heyman. So now you have 82 points more than your opponent. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's good to do an overall balance as well as maximizing what you can get. Now, I get it's not everyone has support, anything like that. And to be honest, if you're going to be going into these tougher matches, you may want to use your higher just single supports where it's like a stop sign that gives you plus 20, plus 75, whatever, you know? Like, you may want to go through that. Or if you don't really have supports, I mean, it's not like you're going to want to use if you only have a epic support, of course you're not going to want to roll in with that. I mean, you can and just focus on the boost, but depending on where you're going, as far as like if you're going to be in Survivor, that epic's really not going to do much for you, to be honest, because you got to remember, once you move up in tiers, they're going to have that type of tier cards. So their supports are going to be coming out. All their support cards are going to be around the Survivor to WrestleMania duration. So you just got to focus mainly on that as well. Also, when you're playing, make sure you play smart. Now, when I say that, I know a lot of people love to go like best card first. Just they aren't looking for, I guess, long-term strategy whenever you're playing. You gotta focus on the long run. You gotta remember that once you start getting into the higher tiers, you're gonna start seeing those cards that are in the higher tiers, such as RTGs. Everyone and their mom got that Bret Hart, so you're gonna have to remember Bret Hart's gonna be coming out. So you gotta kind of focus on that. Same with the RTG Nikki. If you have your RTG Nikki and their RTG Nikki hasn't come out, more than likely you're gonna see it soon. And if you haven't, and let's say you just beat one of theirs, just be prepared for that RTG Nikki to come out. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so right now, like for me, I have all pro deck, and if you see some of the other people's, they have every single RTG. I don't, unfortunately. And their lowest card is like a Bray Wyatt, which Bray Wyatt's ranks pretty high up there. So that's good, you know? So, I mean, I'm not saying I have the best deck at all, because by no means do I have it. But whenever you play, you have to play smart until you get to like the plus twos, because the plus twos are going to be directed towards your deck. So if you're using an ultra rare tier deck, plus twos, or aka plus ones, those are going to be directed towards your deck. So like for me, there's no way I can face Fersham. That dude would kill me. It would be very rare for me to find someone that I can just beat. So that's why for that, it's just kind of like, okay, as of right now, I need to roll plus twos. So hopefully I can knock this out first try. Plus twos have been going good for me. Also, one thing you want to do once you start getting into the high tiers, look at their wins to loss ratio. If you're in a tier and people have 58,311 wins and only 6,000 losses, you probably don't want to face them. Especially if it's a plus 10, because plus 6s and plus 10s, they don't give a crap what your deck is. It's more towards, hey, you are in the WrestleMania tier, so you need to face hard people. So you're going to want to start looking at plus 2s once you start getting around your tier. A good point to realize if you should go down is, and this has always been a good advice, if you lose 3 in a row for plus 10s, if you lose 3 in a row and you're getting beat at least by like 2 points, or even if it's by 1, and it's kind of like not going your way, then move down to plus 6, because that's usually what it means. When you lose 3 in a row and you're scouting even, it's probably time that you move down, because technically these things should not be a plus 10 all the way through. unless you have like JB's deck or something like that. But even then, he kind of has trouble, and he has to scout his opponents. Because if you face Jonathan, or you face Kill Moose Kill, or Fersham, like, you better have a good-ass deck. I mean, Edward, he's got a really good deck, but Kill Moose Kill's deck would whoop him. Same with JB's deck. Same with Adnan's deck. So he knows not to go for those. But at the same time, once you're up in this level, you got to kind of just pick and choose your battles. So make sure you check the wins and losses. For me, I like to go after people with less than 20,000 wins, because for me, like, the 20,000 wins means that they play a lot. They know what they're doing. For the most part, they should know what they're doing. Also, check the picture. I know a lot of people nowadays, because back then, just by nature, you would post your best card as your champion because you want to flaunt him and that stuff. But now it's more people just post for the picture, or they post because it's their favorite person, or they just do it to pretty much just to be funny. Because I've seen people who have like, I forgot his name, but he had 111,000 wins, and he had an uncommon AJ. So kind of be careful with that. So let's try and face Cavino Heat, and hopefully we can get our Triple H card. But I'm going to kind of show you just my thinking process as far as me facing people and how I think. Because, like I said, I think a lot of people are quick to just go straight for the kill, when in reality they need to focus more on the future, like the future steps. So let's see. Okay, so right now we have power. Now, another thing that's really going to help you out a lot is compatibility. So let's say it was a single, and let's say it was one person power, okay? Of course, the main go-to guy would be John Cena. I mean, look at his power. He's your most powerfulest guy. But you don't want to do that, because if the next match is a tag team, boom, you're left with just Seth and Crow Sting, and they aren't compatible. So you're going to lose that chance of them getting an extra boost. So you don't want to do that. You always want to go with singles. You, like, if it was a single person match, you want to go with the odd man out, which in this point it would be Crow Sting. But because they're asking for tag, we're going to go with the two people. Now, I'm not saying you're always going to win this way, because you may not. But your chances of winning are a lot higher that way. Because, yeah, you'll get the win, but the next match, you may have been able to get 2 wins. See, like this, we're going to lose because he has the Brett. But the Brett's not fully pro'd all the way. And see, he could have got that lower boost. And if that... See, look. There you go. Perfect. Right there. That's what I'm explaining. If I was to have done... Let's say... Because Seth Rollins, his power sucked. Crow Sting's power was a lot better. Crow Sting's power is 2944. Seth's was 27 and some change. In reality, if you're going by the numbers game, hey, let's throw in Cena with Crow Sting. They have the best power. But in that match, we would have lost because we would have got a decrease in stat-wise. So that's why I'm saying, like, always go for the compatibility versus just the overall go for the kill method. I like to use my supports right away. If you're using, or my, what's it called? My managers right away. If you're going just for single supports, pick and choose your battles. See, like right now, I don't have RTG Nikki. I know this person's got to have an RTG Nikki. It may not be now. I may have gotten lucky there. But it's kind of like, let's say you had a toughness boost. I wouldn't have used it on Nikki. Because, like, I'm talking about just a single support tough. I wouldn't have used it on that Nikki, because even if I did, if RTG Nikki would have came out, it would have been a wasted support. So you got to think about these things, because when you're up here, and even when in your exhibition games, if you're always seeing Nikki, RTG Nikki, more than likely, once you get into your tier over here, you're going to see RTG Nikki's as well. So just play smart. If you're using single supports that only power up one stat and it's only for one turn, just remember, like right there, I had the normal Survivor Pro Nikki Bella. If I hadn't already seen RTG Nikki out yet, I'm not going to waste the support until I see that RTG Nikki. Now, if RTG Nikki was already out, and then my next group of cards, I had the Nikki Bella, then I know the best card that he could have is either WrestleMania Pro, which more than likely isn't going to be, or an AJ. She's the best normal Survivor Pro. But if I use that toughness boost, I could beat AJ. So you see what I'm saying? Like you have to focus on making sure those main cards come out if you're using single. Now, if you're using just managers, throw them hoes in there right away. It's all good because they're going to stick with the whole deck. So good job, Blassie. We're gonna beat him. All right. Okay, toughness. So future moves. Okay. Granted, these don't have the best toughness, but if they did, like let's say Randy Orton had the best toughness out of all of this, I wouldn't just choose Randy. I would look at my other cards. So, okay, these two are compatible. Cool. These two are compatible. So, your next thought is, okay, toughness-wise, what am I going to do? Well, Randy, his main thing is toughness. Okay, so whenever he gets a boost on toughness. His other stats are okay, but his main focus is toughness. Chris Jericho, his main focus is speed and charisma. So it's like, okay, I could risk the chance of just throwing out Randy and his best stats, and if he wins, cool. If not, then it's not like I could have thrown out Chris Jericho because his stats weren't anything amazing. So I'm giving Chris Jericho a chance to get called for another stat, and hopefully it's one of his strong point stats. So hopefully within that next time they're gonna call for a speed or charisma, and then boom, he's got better than that. So you got to think ahead throughout this whole thing. Now, Andre the Giant has the best charisma, or the best toughness, and he gets a boost in it. Because these are compatible, I'm going to save them. Because not only will they be compatible, but they'll get a boost. So it'll kind of boost up their stats that are already kind of a little low. Sting, he's good by himself. Especially if we go against another Survivor Pro. Like, he should win. So I'm going to go ahead and throw out Andre and one of his best stats and save kind of a Sting that's pretty good by himself anyways as my wild card. So I'm going to go ahead and throw Andre out. And even better because, look, he had Roman. So that would have killed this one. So we're okay now. And again, guys, I'm not saying that these moves are going to constantly help you and constantly give you a win. So look, charisma. Boom. He's good in charisma. He's going to power Randy up good for charisma. So there's our combinable. And it looks like we're going to win. Now, you can easily argue like, hey, Andre and Sting could have been good as far as charisma goes. Yes, you're right, but at the same time, you want to kind of hold your good cards in your sleeve. Like, if you can avoid using them right away, do that, because more than likely, the computer's going to use its best card against you first. So, if you can throw out a card's best stat out while saving one of your best cards, if you win, cool. If you lose, that's okay, because you still have your ace in your pocket. And look, speed. He's good at speed. He can get a boost on speed. So let's try it out. which is completely fine because look, if I would have used them as my compatibility then throughout Sting, I would have been left with Andre. He would have lost because Andre's speed is not, can't be that speed, RVD speed. So it's like, okay. This right here is the best case scenario. We have AJ, which she'll probably go against its RTG Nikki because RTG Nikki hasn't come out yet. So if I was to throw AJ out, if it's not RTG Nikki, I'm going to win. If it is RTG Nikki, then I'm going to lose. But at least my chances are pretty high. So let's throw her out. Are we going to see her? No. Luckily, we didn't. But if you were playing a +10 or a +6, more than likely that would have been RTG Nikki. Maybe at the front. So here, toughness and charisma. I'm going to use Brock even though his toughness is already always there. But if it wasn't, like let's say it was, let's say this was a bottom downwards arrow, I would have used the Brett. Even though he had the better stats for what it's calling for, I would have used Brett because then my downward arrow and upward arrow would have been compatible, and that would have guaranteed me a win. But because they're compatible, and even though Brock's got the better stats in this case, I'm going to go ahead and throw out the odd man out. See? Now it's calling for a toughness. If I would have just went with the Brock, or let's say I felt that Brett would have been the one to go towards because of his charisma, because his charisma is better than Brock's. If I threw him out and then the last was just the Rock and Brock, I'm going to lose more than likely because whenever you're facing +10s, you got to remember they have really good cards. Right now it's going pretty easy for me because I'm playing +2s, which is based on my tier. Now, if I was to go +10s, guaranteed they would have had something that was either compatible or something that's not going to be getting a decrease in stats. So you have to think smart and go with save your compatibility team for if that tag is called. Because the last thing you want to do is get a disadvantage over your opponent. You always want to have an advantage. So I have a compatible team. Look at that. He's even got the Triple H. So we're going to win this. And we're going to get the Triple H. Woohoo. There you go. Oh, we still have one more. Okay. So, power. This is perfect for us because they're both blue arrows. They're going to get the boost. I think he's going to win this one. Yeah, because he's got that RTG. They're compatible and I have RTG. So, see, there's RTG Nikki. I'm shocked that she didn't come out earlier. But overall, guys, just think more future moves than going straight for the kill moves. That will help you a lot in the long run, for sure. So, I really hope this helped. I completely pictured this explanation to go a lot smoother than it did. So if you have any more questions or anything like that, please let me know in the comment section below. Let me know what you think, and if they helped you, let me know if it does, because I hope it did. If you have any more questions as far as like, oh, what did you mean whenever you said this, just ask it down there in the comment section below, or just tweet me at SupercardCopter and let me know exactly what you thought. If you have any comments, or concerns, or maybe something specifically for your deck, maybe there's something that you want to know how to do. So definitely ask away. I love to help y'all. I kind of wanted just to make a video of this instead of just answering y'all each a question. But to be honest, guys, like, it's all about the grind as well. If you have a semi-decent deck and you've gotten an RTG before, you can get it again. You would have to use the +2s because those are more geared towards your deck, but it can be done. So definitely play smart, think ahead, and hopefully this helps. And if it didn't, and you're bored, well then I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to be so boring. But until next time, as always, stay creamy. Peace. I'm out of here.